and world languages. I am very excited to talk to you about this, but it is going to be in the context of world languages mostly. So if you ever took a class, did anybody take a class in a language class? Okay, I have a few of you so you might be able to connect with some of these. But one of the reasons I wanted to present today is because I think that some of these things can be shared. Before I start, you need to know a little bit about my students, which may sound like yours. My students are very diverse. So when we're teaching Spanish here at the university, I may be teaching a second language learner like Sara, who started in a classroom setting, so she has some abilities but not others, and Daisy, who came from Mexico when she was 7, so she already talks a lot, and Eddie, whose family came from New Mexico, and he knows a few words because he remembers his grandmother talking to him. Those two at the very end are heritage language learners. Sarita is a second language learner for those who care. Anyways, they are all in my class, so they have very varying degrees of language abilities. So, diverse learner backgrounds. One of the things we have been trying to do is, of course, find the materials that can address this diversity in the class. And Caitlin, you were talking about that diversity that we have and how can we help them, right? So a little while back, we started writing OER. For those of you who don't know, Open Educational Resources are like textbooks, but they are usually written by experts with a CC license, and then we give them out to the world for free. So not only do they get them for free, so they're financial things, of course, but also our OER can address their lived experiences. That means that when we're writing OER, we can write about Sara and Eddie and Daisy, and nobody feels left out. So that has been a really cool thing we've been doing. In fact, Spanish has the very first ZTC, which means a zero textbook cost program in the state of Colorado. Thank you! Woo! That's a big deal, because we wrote this many textbooks between my team and I, and now we have even started integrating other languages. Professor Pachichi is here, who wrote Prosiguiamo. We have German, we have French. So, you know, it's a thing. It's a great thing that we are doing. The reason I'm showing you these is because I will be talking about how AI can help this process as well, alongside many other fun things. So, AI-driven practices. Okay. With the advent of AI, of course, now we have a chance to provide differentiation in the classroom, even motivation and content to students. And this ability has been dramatically altered, because before it took a long time to do these things. So we have a tool that can help us provide different types of inspiration, input level, output level, feedback, process, and more. Of course, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm coming in this completely, you know, all rainbows and unicorns, because it is not. That is not the fact. AI comes with ethical dilemmas, and we must navigate them. Ultimately, for me, I want to uphold my duty to prepare my students for the future and help them become lifelong learners who can use all tools at their disposal in an ethical and responsible way. What I don't want them is to call me when I'm a little old lady and go, Alegria, can you check my paper for me? Or my email, because I have to send it to somebody important and I don't know if my accents are in the right place. So, talking about the ugly, I wanted to find these little robot pictures, and then I said, draw me a horrifying, ugly robot, and then it said I cannot generate that because it goes against our practices, which reminded me of the ugly. Well, one of the ugly is that AI was trained in part by exploitation of people who have to look at the most awful things in the world and pull them out, so you and I never have to see them. They're badly paid. They hardly receive any mental health support when they're doing this. So yeah, that's definitely part of the ugly. Also, AI does not respect the individual rights of authors and artists and ignores the concerns over copyright and intellectual property in its training. Definitely ugly. AI reflects bias. It can be unreliable. It hallucinates. Yes, it does. Have you ever gotten one of those really weird ones? You're like, where did you get that, right? And AI can threaten privacy and data security, so there's another issue. And it can also give people a false sense of expertise. So does the internet, by the way, in general, right? Dr. Google. So here we are. This is part of our existence now. We just need to make people realize maybe they're not experts. And then, oh, this one's definitely an ugly one, right? Electricity and resource consumption, it's only supposed to grow. We don't even know where all the power is gonna come from, so yeah, ugly. Then there's the bad. Okay, so the bad misinformation, the bad deepfakes, the bad cheating. Our students can be cheating with it, right? Low quality educational resources. I'm very much into open educational resources. Are people putting out crappy things out there? You bet. Especially if they're not experts of what they are teaching and they're just pulling it out, maybe not checking it, and there you get some crappy thing, right? Biased grading, it may not take into account all the nuance that we take into grading, and excessive reliance. Yeah, you know, there are some things that maybe we should be doing and not AI. But there are things that AI can do. And I would agree with Caitlin. You know, some of those things that we hate doing and AI could even be better at it, let's go for it. There's things that only us can do. Not only that we enjoy them, but only us can do. Only I can hug my precious students when they come to my office crying or wanting to get advice on what classes to take next semester. That's all us. So yes, there's the bad and the ugly, and I like to equate it to a road that would cut through the most beautiful prairie where the tarantulas and the coyotes roam, and nobody asked me if they could build it, and they did, and now it cuts my commute in half. So now do I use it, or don't I? Maybe I use it carefully, maybe I slow down for the tarantulas, maybe I work with my city commissioners to put some signs up, and also work on future urban sprawl. But am I gonna use it? You bet. In fact, it reduces my carbon footprint in half. So I will. It is useful. So here comes the good. These are some of the things I'm using AI in my classes for. Inspiration, feedback for my students, and inspiration for my students. I'm gonna show you each one of these. High quality educational resources. We talked about low quality. We can talk about high quality, but because guess what? You can do anything, high quality or low quality, right? People used to tell me, oh, face-to-face is the best way to teach. Well, yeah, but I've seen some pretty bad face-to-face teachers. Oh, online is the worst thing to teach. Well, I've seen some really good ones online, you know, so definitely it depends how you do it, right? Content creation, so this is another good that we can do with the appropriate prompting. AI can create good content for a specific language level and in an individualized way. Conversation partners, oh, I can't wait to show you this. So conversation partners, so you can practice your language skills in a safe way that allows you to grow when you talk to real people. So I used to do this really fun project in my class that is storybooks for children. So my students would explore their language, identity, and diversity. They had to write a 10-page book with a story. They used the intermediate language to do it. It took them 3 weeks and used Book Creator. I don't know if anybody has ever used Book Creator. It's very, very cool. So my library is growing. My students keep writing these beautiful books. Books about mi identidad, my identity, even if you don't speak Spanish, I bet you could pick that one up. Es genial ser bilingüe. Or ¿Por qué hablan diferente? About linguistic varieties. These are all my students. This one, she was an amazing drawer, so she didn't like using clip art, and that's what she did with her own hands. I bet Rachel, who's an art appreciates that. And here's another one done with clip art. So that's what they had been doing. And then one day, I'm like, whoa, where did this come from? This is so cool. And so one of my students, on their own, went in one night, and he wanted to write a story about a dog that travels through Latin America. And as he does, he goes to Machu Picchu and eats ceviche, and then goes to Argentina and drinks some mate, goes to my home country of Ecuador and eats guinea pigs. Yes, I'm sorry, we eat guinea pigs in my country. And then dances at another place and goes to Mexico. Look at this. The most beautiful aspect about this is that he came back with his 3 roommates. They had stayed up until 4 in the morning doing this. The project wasn't due in another 2 weeks. Wouldn't you want to give your students a project that excites them so much that 2 weeks in advance, they're up until 4 in the morning doing this? I was like, what? This is so cool. So these are some of the things that they started doing. Of course, then they started talking to other students. So here's a student who first started with clip art, and then they taught her how to do it. Oh, look at the difference, right? Oh, she was so happy. She showed it to her whole family. This, talk about motivation for the students. So I thought, oh man, we really, really got to do this. So I started trying this. If you teach languages, Chris knows this, we try to have our students become very good describers. Describing in another language is an ability at least intermediate level. So I started telling them, well, you know, how about we do, you guys write the prompts with rich description, and then let's see what comes out. So they started doing that, and it was so much fun because, of course, now they could do this, these different things. This one was the winner of the contest for the front of our home remedies book. But it also gave me a chance to explore bias. So a lot of my students were inputting, oh, home remedies, whatever, and so this white grandma's coming out, right? They're expecting to see people who look like them in the pictures. They're like, why are all these white people coming? So I said, well, let's just write cute baby. This is what comes out when we write cute baby, because it's biased. It just pulls all the data, aggregates it, and decides that this is the cute baby. So wonderful teaching opportunity. I've also been using it for my students to get feedback because, as I said, I don't want to be an 80-year-old lady getting a phone call because my student has to write something important. This does not mean AI writes the things for them. It actually gives them the feedback that I am not there to give them right away. So this is the prompt, and they have to use it word by word that they use. Please give me feedback on my essay. Tell me 2 things that work, and then comment on the structure of the essay. Specifically, if my thesis is clear and my paragraphs are well divided, paragraphs are a thing. Brenda knows. Make 1 to 3 suggestions of where I could use transition words, because that's another thing. And finally, make a list of any spelling and grammar errors I should fix. Oh, it says, oh, I'd be happy to do that. Share it with me. So this is the first version, right here. Then they get the feedback, they write the second version. The feedback is amazing. And you know what it does? It frees me to give them feedback on the other things. Now I am not so concentrated on accent, oh, wrong verb, wrong verb, wrong verb. You know, now I can go like, you know, how about you start with this? How about things that only I can do? All right, so this has been going on. I could show you more. And then we were talking about open educational resources. This is my latest one.